Hello, everyone. Sandra Sahovic here, book strategist, 5 times best-selling author, and a publisher. What I'm about to cover on our today's masterclass is what to do when you don't feel inspired to write. And the short answer to that question is to write. Not the long answer. What is wrong with writing only when you feel inspired? What is wrong with writing only when you feel inspired? Writing only when you feel inspired does not help you become a bigger channel. Writing only when you feel inspired does not help you become a bigger channel. Writing only when you feel inspired is also deeply rooted in victim mentality of waiting. They may just as well, Sandra, but I only write on the full moons, the new moons, weekends only. Like, guess how many full moons do we get a month? How many full moons do we get a month? Type in the comments and let me know. Only one. Like one fucking full month. One fucking full moon. And one fucking chance to blow it all out of the water. So how much progress, the question for you is, like, how much progress do you think you'll make if you write only once a month? How much progress are you going to make with your book if you write only once a month? What's going to happen if you're feeling a bit under the weather on the full moon, which is the only time when you write, or on weekends, and you end up with the flu on Friday evening? What's going to happen with your book? If the only time you write is once a week, you're not feeling well over the weekend, or your child falls sick, or the car breaks down, or whatever else, you're just not feeling like yourself. Guess how much progress you are going to make with your book if you do that. If you wait for the whole week to just sit down and write, how much progress are you going to make with your book? If it doesn't happen on the full moon, if it doesn't happen on the weekend, you just missed your opportunity. The next opportunity will not come for at least another 7 days if you write only on weekends only. Or if you write only on the full moon, it's not going to happen for at least another 30 days, right? Writing only when you feel inspired does not help you become a bigger channel. Writing a book is not about pushing, forcing, hustling. This is not how you write a paradigm-shifting legacy book. When you don't feel inspired, this is not where you can sit back and relax, because there are a lot of different things happening in the background. Typically, when you don't feel inspired, it's a symptom of a much bigger problem. So typically when you don't feel inspired, that means because you're feeling either disconnected, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling overwhelmed. And this has absolutely nothing to do with your book and everything to do with you. So if you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, disconnected, this is a sign that you are out of alignment. You're out of alignment with your vision, with your mission, and with your legacy. That has nothing to do with your book. But it still affects your writing if you're feeling disconnected. So if you're feeling uninspired, What you need to do is not to lean back and wait until you feel inspired, but to actually do something that flips that switch and really brings your energy back where it's in alignment. The writers that get stuck with the writing, where they feel like the words just aren't flowing, are typically the ones where other areas of their life are not working. It could be that they just had a major argument with their partner. Maybe you've had some major expenses because your car broke down. Maybe your child is sick. And this in turn can affect your creativity. This in turn affects your creativity. It makes you feel frustrated, disconnected, overwhelmed, angry, whatnot. So it's also about recognizing what feeling or emotion do you use as a crutch. I'm a really passionate person. I can get easily inspired and motivated. But the flip side of being a fire personality, being a fire sign, the flip side of passion is also frustration. When things don't go according to plan, when I feel like I'm not making as much progress with my book, or business or life, anything, relationship, I typically fall into frustration. So I use frustration as a crutch. Frustration is my emotional crutch. What emotion or pattern do you typically fall into when you feel like things are not going according to plan, when you feel out of alignment? What is your predominant emotion? For some of you, it will be overwhelmed. Maybe you tell yourself, I feel overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed, and you use it as an excuse not to take action. Or maybe you tell yourself, I feel frustrated. And then you drop everything, maybe throw something against the wall and just take a step back. For some of you, you're telling yourself you're feeling disconnected. Is your disconnected, is it more a symptom of what's currently happening in your life? Or does it actually have anything to do with your book? Or are you feeling disconnected because you really feel out of alignment with your vision, with your own vision, with your legacy and your mission that may or may not have anything to do with your coach or mentor? So it's also about recognizing that pattern in your own life, the predominant feeling and emotion that you use as a crutch to stop yourself. So what's that feeling and emotion? What is that feeling and emotion that you use as an emotional crutch when you tell yourself, I don't feel inspired? there are lots of nuances there. There are lots of nuances there. So what happens when you write? Yeah, when you write every 30, 31 days, or every 28 days, how much progress do you think you are going to make if you keep giving your power to your emotional crutch, your predominant emotion? Or if you keep telling yourself, I don't feel inspired, and only sit down, you're telling yourself you're writing a book, how much progress do you think you're going to make if you write only once every 30, 31 days, or only when you feel inspired? Not much. Not much. Not much. And guess how many years it will take you to get your book written if you write on full moons or when you feel inspired? And it's not even going to be years. It's not going to be months. It's not going to be weeks. It's just never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. If you write only when it's convenient, when it's easy, when inspiration hits, or when you've ticked off all the other items on your never ending to do list, you're not writing a book. You are not writing a book. What you're doing is just waiting. Ouch. That one hurt, right? So you also need to get radically honest with yourself. Get radically honest with yourself and raise your standards. Just because you rate daily inconsistently doesn't mean that you need to push, force, or hassle or grind. I'm not about pushing, forcing, or I don't subscribe into hard work. I just want to go out there and have fun. But what really happens when you write daily and consistently, or at least consistently enough to be in that constant state of flow? You don't have to force, push, or hassle your way for your book. In fact, the more you try to force or push, the more you get creatively constipated. So when you don't feel inspired, take a step back. And the challenge for you is to get yourself back into alignment. That's why when I work with clients, I we work on their mindset. We work on their energy, because if your mindset, your energy is off, you're not going to write the best book. But it is up to you. It is your personal responsibility to ensure that your energy is in the right place. It is not your coaches or your mentors' responsibility to ensure that your energy and mindset is in the right place. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not an energy healer. I'm a book strategist. So if you're telling yourself you're feeling disconnected, frustrated, overwhelmed, or anything in between, it's on you, not on me. And it is your job as a conscious thought leader to really find your flow again, to get back into alignment. So for some of you, if you have a tendency to work hard, if you have a tendency to overwhelm yourself with a never ending to do list, you really need to get your priorities right. Because it is never really about lack of time, it is a matter of priorities. One thing I have noticed about myself, the more I rest, the more energy I have. The more I slow down, the more I pick up speed. The more intentional I am about everything I do, the more time I actually have. I don't feel like I'm busy, yet I'm being productive. I don't do busy. When I rest, I rest. So for some of you, you really need to give yourself that grace of time and space and really shift into a place where you can actually receive all those intuitive, divine ideas. And how to do that? Just go out and live a little. Go out and live a little. Some of you are trying too hard. You need to stop trying. Trying is not the energy of creativity. Trying is not the energy of manifestation. Some of you really need to scale back down and just lean back. And by leaning back, I don't necessarily mean that you can just stop doing whatever you're doing. It's about getting yourself back into alignment. Because it is when you feel frustrated, in other areas of your life, when you feel overwhelmed with your business, with your client roster, when you're feeling frustrated or disconnected, when you're feeling disconnected in one area, the chances are you're feeling disconnected in every other area of your life. And that has nothing to do with the project at hand. It's had nothing to do with your mentor and everything to do with you. So how to really find that inner state of flow? You start by working on your mindset and energy. And it's a practice, it's a daily practice. It's not something you do once and then you can sit back and relax. It's something you want to create your own sacred writing ritual. Don't make writing a core. And when you make it a core as one of those things to tick off on your never ending to do list, that can really rob you of the joy, of the pleasure of creativity. And that's not where paradigm shifting legacy books are born. So, how to find that flow? To find that flow, you want to get creative. Get creative with it. That's through painting, dancing, singing, dancing on the kitchen floor, having a really fun, playful selfie session with yourself, have a bubble bath, buy some flowers, do something that really makes you come alive. The best writers, the best writers out there are the ones that go out there and live. It is the ones that haven't really lived, the ones that don't really have an exciting life. They just live a boring existential life. And then they don't really have any interesting stories to tell because the excitement, the joy is missing. If that's where you're currently at, give yourself the grace. Give yourself the grace. Give yourself permission to feel what you're currently feeling. But also remember that you are not your feelings and your emotions. You are not your feelings and your emotions. The more you show up through a daily sacred writing ritual, the more you do Facebook Lives, the bigger the channel you become. The easier the intuitive hits and ideas come because you're really opening yourself up. You're opening up your energy field. You're literally sending a signal to the universe, give me more. I'm ready to receive more. I'm getting chills just now. I'm ready to receive more. Give me more. I am willing and committed. It is only when I write daily and consistently that my spiritual team wakes me up in the middle of the night with the lines for my book. I always have a notebook on my nightstand. I never ever feel like I'm forcing, like I'm pushing or hassling, ever. This is not the energy of creativity. The energy of creativity is spontaneity. It's very playful. It's very expansive. It's expansive. It's joyful. It's pleasurable. This is when inspiration comes. So it is your responsibility and yours alone to make sure that your energy and your mindset is in the right place for you to sit down and write. So, what does it look like in practice? I'm not one of those people that meditate for 2 hours a day. In fact, these days I don't meditate at all. What you can do when you wake up first thing in the morning, just take a couple of deep breaths, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Set the intention for the day. Sometimes all I really do is I proclaim that I'm ready for the universe's magic. Show me some magic. That's literally all I say. Show me some magic today. Sometimes that's enough. So it's more about your predominant emotion and energy throughout the day. When I feel frustrated, all you can really do when you feel frustrated, every hour, every time the clock strikes, every hour, just close your eyes for literally 2 minutes and just take 2 deep breaths every hour of the day. That'll really ground you. That will completely recalibrate your nervous system, especially if you're feeling disconnected, anxious, or frustrated, or anything in between. So once you've meditated or had your spiritual practice, whatever that may look for you, what I typically do is exercise. You could Move your body. It's not so much about what you do, but about doing a form of exercise. Again, we have to have physical body, we have the energy, your meditation practice. Then we have the physical body. When you move, there's a neurological reason, scientific reason that it actually helps stimulate creativity or all the connections between your synapses. You instantly become more receptive and creative. Also, make sure you are hydrated, very important. Dehydrated writers are dry writers. They write like a report. Yeah, so once you've had your favorite form of exercise for me, it's typically Pilates, by the way, really good for your thumb. It could be taking the dog out for a walk, anything, dancing on the kitchen floor, jumping jacks up and down. Once you have done that, grab your journal. And this is where you basically just do a basic brain dump, free flow for between 5 to 20 minutes. And then once you're in that space, you're perfectly in the perfect place to sit down and write. And you also want to, if you're not feeling inspired, think about the times, review your schedule. You do it for a week and just really pay attention. Where am I at my most creative? Do I typically write posts first thing in the morning? Do I typically write content or emails before I go to bed, or does it happen at a certain time throughout the day? Just notice when you're at your most creative. For me personally, I'm not an early bird, but I'm not a night owl either. And I've noticed that I'm at my most creative late in the morning, around 11, 12 o'clock. And that's when I typically sit down and write. The only times that I ever feel like I might be not as creative is when I have family members staying over Christmas, when I really take time out of my schedule, or maybe I'm on holidays. So something that really disrupts my usual routine. And it is only when I don't write for prolonged periods of time where I feel that, okay, like I need to find my flow again. But I never, ever, ever feel creatively constipated. Why? Because I write consistently enough, even if it's not daily, but I write consistently enough to be in that constant state of flow. The more you show up to your sacred daily writing ritual, the more intuitive hits and ideas come. They come in thick and fast. So the more you show up to your sacred writing ritual, the bigger the channel you become, the easier it becomes, the more gifted the writer you become. It's just easy, it's very flowy, it's very fluid. It just feels fucking delicious. So my advice to you is, if you're feeling uninspired, create some ritual that really lets your inner girl or your inner boy out, that really energizes you, juices you out, makes you come alive, whatever it is. Go for that walk out in nature. Spend some time by the lake with your favorite book. If you're not really giving yourself the time to relax and breathe, then do that too. It does not have to be anything out of the ordinary. Sometimes the simplest solutions work the best. When I feel maybe a little frustrated, I go for a walk out in nature. I could dance, I could have a Pilates session, I could go and play with my 4-year-old niece. Maybe she's free, I don't know. Just do something that really connects you with joy. Do something that connects you with the energy of pleasure. Could be buying beautiful flowers. I have beautiful flowers over here. And it completely shifts my energy. I just feel like instantly abandoned. I feel like it completely recalibrates my system. Could be having a bubble bath with Epsom salts. So it's not so much about the act of rating, but everything that happens in your life, in your business, in your relationship, with your finances, with your career, with your home, if you're moving. But this does not mean just because you had a major argument with your partner does not give you permission to let yourself off the hook. Because if you're giving your partner permission and the power to decide how you feel, whether you feel sad, resentful, or angry, or anything in between there, then you are really in victim mentality. You are giving them your power away, and you are making their actions, thoughts, and behaviors mean something about you that is not true. Some of you really needed to hear that message. So if you're feeling uninspired, if you're right only when it's convenient, when it's easy, when inspiration hits, until you've ticked off all the boxes on your never-ending to-do list, you are not rating a book. You are not rating a book. You are just fucking waiting. And if you're ready to stop waiting and finally start writing and birth a paradigm shifting legacy book, then me and you, we need to talk. We fight clients that went from making 30K to 100K months in 30 days. And they effectively became multi-millionaires by the age of 26, with a baby girl strapped to her boob, with parenting attachment issues. But they didn't do it by waiting. They didn't do it by waiting. If you're in, reach out to me because we need to talk and we have the legacy shit to make. Bye bye for now.